Hey, Washington Commanders fan. Today, I bring you a comprehensive analysis of the current moment for Terry McLaurin, our great wide receiver, on the brink of a season that promises to be crucial for his career and the future of the Commanders' offense. If you're a football fan, enjoy fantasy, and keep up with the day-to-day of the franchise, stay with me until the end of this video, because we're going to break down the projections, recent history, and what's in store for McLaurin in his contract year. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and share this analysis with other fans. Your opinion, as always, makes all the difference for our community. Let's start by recalling the journey of this DC idol. McLaurin enters 2025 heading into his 7th season, and interestingly, he was only a 3rd-round pick by the Commanders in the 2019 draft. Since becoming a starter, McLaurin turned modest numbers into impressive stats. 6,379 receiving yards, 460 receptions, and 38 touchdowns over 6 years in the league. He's never thrown passes and has only accumulated 73 rushing yards, but he's undoubtedly been the main target in Washington all this while. As a fan, it's gratifying to see someone who grew alongside the team being a part of our culture. Last season put McLaurin on another level, with rookie Jaden Daniels joining. A quick chemistry developed between the quarterback and wide receiver that elevated our offense. Daniels brought energy, precision, and character, and McLaurin was the key piece in the passing game, shining in crucial moments. He finished the year as one of the top 10 wide receivers, dominating in both yards and important catches, especially in the end zone. The growth of this connection gives real hope that we might see even bigger numbers in 2025. Throughout the 17 games last season, McLaurin not only was ever present on the field, but was the absolute leader among the wideouts. There were 117 passes thrown his way, with 82 receptions, surpassing the 1,000-yard mark for the 4th consecutive time. And more. He reached 13 touchdowns, a career high, while also contributing with occasional rushes. These numbers place him among the most reliable receivers for any quarterback, especially in a young and dynamic team like ours. In the fantasy community, McLaurin is consistently highly rated, but it's in practice, on the field, where the fans can truly feel the difference he makes. In the 2024 season, McLaurin was a WR1 in standard and PPR leagues, closing with averages of 10.9 points per game and 15.8 in PPR leagues, accumulating nearly 270 points overall. He was among the 5th to 7th most productive receivers in fantasy. Even so, some analysts highlight that his target volume might be lower compared to the league's elite, affecting his ceiling, especially in reception-valued leagues. It's essential to emphasize how vital McLaurin was for the balance and explosion of our offense in 2024. Although other wide receivers emerged, none came close to his consistency and prominence. In several games, McLaurin was Daniels' safety valve, delivering clutch throws, key routes, and decisive TDs. This is expected to continue, especially as Jaden Daniels is set to grow even more after winning Rookie of the Year, establishing himself as an elite quarterback and providing the platform for McLaurin to maintain his status. With reinforcements like Deebo Samuel arriving beside him, the projection is that the offense gains even more dynamism. Opponents' defenses will be spread trying to cover various threats, opening more opportunities for number 17. For the coaching staff, it remains to find the balance between leveraging McLaurin's physical talents, maximizing his playmaking ability post-catch, and ensuring the necessary target volume, especially in critical moments. The pressure is real. After all, Terry is entering his contract year, and every performance counts for the future. Speaking of the future, that's a key aspect of the 2025 storyline. McLaurin will be playing to prove to Washington and the entire NFL that he deserves a new elite contract even as he approaches 30. His recent success positions him to seek more stability and show, week after week, why he's already among the top 10 and can aim for the top 5 wide receivers today. The chemistry with Daniels, the playbook's versatility, and the potential evolution of the offense work in favor of this goal. However, there's some lingering doubt about what to expect from the defense, which is still undergoing renewal. A more solid unit can ensure greater possession control for the offense, but if that doesn't happen, McLaurin's dependency and his numbers could be even more pronounced. The scenario is optimistic, but with a caution that any fluctuation in the offense will directly impact our main receiver's production, both on the field and in fantasy. In the end, analyst predictions point to McLaurin as a must-have in fantasy leagues, whether in standard, PPR, or half PPR formats, always ranked in the early rounds among the most desired WRs. And you, fan, will Terry McLaurin prove once and for all that he is one of the top 5 in the league this year? Or is he still missing that something extra to convince everyone? Comment below, subscribe to follow every chapter of this story, and let's cheer for another historic year for our number 17. After the excellent last season, expectations for McLaurin have never been higher. The Commanders' offense is evolving, and with Jaden Daniels more experienced following an outstanding debut campaign, McLaurin has every reason to maintain his production. The offensive plan doesn't rely solely on the passing game. There are various weapons and running options designed to confuse defenses. Even so, McLaurin is expected to remain the main target in crucial plays and could achieve personal record figures in 2025 if all goes well. Projections point to a production of between 1,100 and 1,200 yards, around 85 to 95 receptions, and an impressive 13 to 15 touchdowns. These numbers confirm McLaurin as a solid WR1, not only for the Commanders, but also for those who have him in fantasy leagues. Amidst the offensive reorganization and the natural maturation of the quarterback, McLaurin is expected to remain the most reliable player on the roster. He's always stood out in big plays and has shown a consistency in the end zone that few in the NFL can replicate. McLaurin is about to turn 30. Although he didn't show signs of decline in 2024, we know that among wide receivers, physical changes can be gradual. Many already expect that at some point his explosiveness might decrease. However, those who watched last season saw an athlete still in top form, with precise routes, speed, and leadership. The positive side is that, unlike running backs, wide receivers typically can play at a high level until 31 or 32 years old, maintaining good fantasy points and value on the roster. In fantasy, McLaurin will likely go in drafts between the late second and early third rounds. For those aiming for an immediate title, he's a safe bet, especially in schemes that value touchdowns. Now, in dynasties and rebuilding leagues, his value is debatable. That's because, with age knocking and a team still filled with young prospects, one must weigh whether to keep the veteran or use him as trade capital. And we can't forget the risk factor. If there's a sudden drop in performance, his value could plummet. Another factor, influencing both fantasy and the Commanders' reality, is the contractual situation. McLaurin enters his contract year and needs to show continued high standards to secure a new deal in DC, or attract interest from other teams. In recent years, he's shown to be healthy, not missing a game in 4 consecutive seasons. But whenever a player reaches this career phase without contract stability, there's increased concern about a potential change in environment and the uncertainties that bring to stats, chemistry, and fantasy projections. The truth is that McLaurin's security came especially with the arrival of Jaden Daniels. Their chemistry was immediate, and alongside the offense's growth, it allowed McLaurin to achieve career-best numbers in touchdowns and maintain a high average of targets. Even if Daniels experiences second-year fluctuations, it's tough to imagine another player at his position who combines the same level of consistency, health, and explosiveness. And for fantasy owners and fans alike, that's gold. However, in the NFL, and especially in dynasty leagues, those thinking long-term need to stay vigilant. It's likely that in 2 or 3 years, should he not maintain this pace, McLaurin may lose ground to younger, more explosive wide receivers. On the other hand, teams contending for a title in 2025 could benefit from betting on him as a decisive piece down the stretch. Teams in rebuilding, meanwhile, should consider trading him for future assets and young promises, avoiding holding on to a depreciating asset. At the end of the day, the key word is strategy. What will define Terry McLaurin's value and role is not only his talent or history, but the timing and goal of his team, whether in the NFL or in fantasy. The Commanders need to prove alongside McLaurin that last year's success was just the beginning of something bigger. If the team shows improvement and reaches the playoffs again, McLaurin will be a fundamental part of that journey, and nothing stops him from rising even higher in the ranks of the league's best receivers. And now, fan, do you believe 2025 will truly be Terry McLaurin's best year in terms of stats and importance for the Commanders? Or has he already hit his peak and should expect a more secondary role from now on? Share your thoughts, subscribe to keep receiving our detailed analyses, and share. After all, we're about to live another decisive chapter in the history of one of the greatest wide receivers to play in DC.